All right, three, two, one. Welcome, everybody. Game changers, beautiful people of the world. This is Jackson James Cubian, and you're tuning in because you're got this financial template that you're about to delve into. This financial template took me about 5 hours to create, and I'd appreciate if you watch this video because this will help you navigate how to use this template in the best possible way. And the reason I created this template is because 3 or 4 days ago, I sat down and I tracked every single finance, every dollar I spent, every dollar I earned, everything I spent my money on from May this year to May last year. And let me tell you, it was it was quite shocking to see what I was spending my money on, how much I was spending, where I was spending it, how many weeks I was spending more than I was earning, all of that jazz. It was super enlightening and also super empowering moving forward for me to recreate a financial plan, for me now to feel financial confidence that I'm tracking and measuring everything that I'm spending my money on and earning, and really set up a great game plan. So I hope you guys utilize this opportunity to do the same for you using this powerful template. So let's get into it. The number one thing, if you take from this video, is to do this. Just go file and make a copy before you do anything to this template. So if your name's Jason, put Jason. If you want to custom name it, put whatever name. But essentially, all I want you to do is go file, make a copy. And that means you have your own personal copy to edit and make your own. Sweet. Essentially, if you don't have this template open or have access to it, the link to access it will be in the description of this video. If you don't have a Google account, create a Google account so you can use Google Spreadsheets and this template. It's super simple. Sweet, let's get into it. So we have down the bottom expenses, earnings, and financial buckets. These are your three tabs. I'll get into earnings and financial buckets in a second or in a moment. Let's talk expenses first. Now, I've laid this out so you have date on the one side. Date being this month, starting from this month, May, all the way to December. And how I've laid out the date, as you can see, is 29th of April to the 5th of May. 5th of May to the 12th of May. And all that means is basically Monday to Sunday, Monday to Sunday, Monday to Sunday, and so on. It's just Monday to Sundays. So you guys out there, guys and girls that are watching this, you can create a beautiful habit every Monday or Sunday of tracking your weekly finances. And that's what I do. So all you'll need to do to begin is sit down on your Monday or Sunday, have a book and a calculator and this template open to begin. Let's talk about the expenses categories. So I've got weekly earnings, pretty self-explanatory, minus weekly expenses equals plus or minus cash. What does that mean? It means each week you're going to track how much you've earned, each week you're going to track how much you've spent, and you're going to see if it's a positive or negative number. Negative being you spent more than you earned, positive being you earned more than you spent. And you're going to track that here in this category. And it's going to be super helpful for you to see each week what's actually happening in terms of what you're spending on and what you're earning. Then you got this category, your total expenses for the week. Food and home. Now, food for me is everything you spend on food, as well. Home just means like things like toilet paper, laundry detergent, soap for your kitchen. Maybe it's razors. That's what I cover in home. Rent and mortgage, pretty self-explanatory, what you're spending per week on rent or mortgage. Fuel, what you're putting into your car / truck. Electricity, bills. Now bills, you could have multiple, right? You could have a Netflix bill, you could have a ClickFunnels monthly subscription, you could have all sorts of things. Phone, pretty obvious. Personal growth. Now for me, personal growth is anything I spend on books, on courses, on retreats, these sort of things. Haircut, clothes, shoes. Give back. I love this bucket. Give back is like, or sorry, this category. This category is everything to do with like maybe giving back to a charity or a non-profit organization, wildlife, or maybe it's just spending $80 getting a massage for your uncle. Whatever it is, this is your give back category. Travel. Travel for me is flights. It's shuttle bus. It's trains. Kids, if you have kids, this is the category for you. And then other. Anything that's not covered in the spectrum, you can put under other. Now, you guys can customize this yourself. If you don't like some of the terminology I'm using here, just switch up the name. Simple as that. You guys have access to that to switch. Sweet. So, let's dive in. Let's say it's a Sunday or a Monday. and I'm doing the week of the 12th to the 19th. I have my book out in front of me. I have my calculator. I'm going to draw a line halfway down the middle of my page, and on one side I'm going to put expenses, on the other side I'm going to put earnings, and maybe I'll put the date, the 12th to the 19th. And all I'm going to do is open up some of my bank accounts. So if you have multiple, open up multiple. I'm just going to open up this one to show you as an example. And I'm literally going to go, if it's the 12th to the 19th, I'm going to check all the way back to the 12th of May to the 19th. And I'm going to be writing down in that booklet of expenses all of my expenses. So Woolworths, $36.63. That's going to be under food. Car wash, $5.20. That's going to be under travel. Farm Gate to You, that's another food joint. So that's going to be $11.10 under food. BP, that's fuel, $53. 200 there, that's earnings. 166 earnings, $300 earnings. So I'm going to be putting that in my earnings category. $500 here, that's rent. So $500 for rent. And you're literally going to go through and you're going to track from the 12th to the 19th. And if you have bills or things like that that come in the mail that are outside of what you spend on your card, track that, put that in too. If you notice something here, this is the beautiful part about doing this. If you notice something here that's foreign to you that you don't recognize, you're like, where does that $6 come from? You can go type in that exact name, or they might have an ABN number, and type it into Google and see what you get, a visual basically of where you might have spent that money. If it's still foreign to you, you can call up your bank, you can track it, you can ask, and basically, yeah, you can follow up on that case. So for example, there was a time where for 4 months in a row, there was something monthly coming out of my account that I had no idea about. And it wasn't until I started tracking that I could understand, hey, where's that $33 going? I don't know who that merchant is. And track it, call up your bank. So that's a beautiful thing about doing this process right now. So essentially then, you come back to this template. You've just written down everything in terms of food on that piece of paper for expenses. And you're going to add that up with your calculator. So let's say it was $135.67 that I spent that week in food. Boom. What you're going to see here is two things. One, up the top here is your monthly. So this is going to total, everything that you put in here is going to total your monthly food expenses for May. Same thing for June. It's going to show it here, your monthly food expenses for June. Same thing for rent, fuel. It'll always show in the yellow your monthly expenses for that month in the yellow category. So for June, for July. Up the top though, and these are some pretty complex formulas that I was able to put together for you guys. So for example, look at that one. That's why it took me quite a bit of time. But essentially up the top here, you're going to have $135. This is going to be your running total, your running yearly total. So as I'm adding numbers to this, 34, 64, it's going to show up here as your total amount of money you're spending this year so far on food. Same for rent, same for fuel, same for all the categories here. So let's get back to the 12th and the 19th. So I spent $135.67 in food. I spent $500 in rent. Maybe you spent $80.57 in fuel, electricity. Let's say I spent $0 on that. Bills, here's the cool thing. So for bills, what I've done for bills, personal growth, haircut, give back, travel, all those, the rest of those categories, I've allowed you to create text knowing there could be multiple things. You might have multiple bills. So for example, $10 Netflix, $30 ClickFunnels, and $40 dating website. Wow, that's an expensive dating website. And what that means, I've created this formula here so that when you type in text, you're still going to get a total, even if you have the description there of what you spent that money on. Now that won't be the case for rent and food, right? If I type in a text here, it's not going to total it. I didn't create the formula for these ones because I thought they were pretty self-obvious, like, you know, you don't have to add too much description to rent or food. But for these ones, you might have multiple bills. So just know that you can type in, you know, the description of these bills, and I recommend that, and it's still going to total up. So phone, maybe I spent $0 in phone. Personal growth, once again, $10 books, $155 on a one day, or maybe just on a retreat. Haircut, clothes, $30 on a haircut, and $87.95 on shoes. Now, when you're tracking this, so when I'm here tracking this, you're going to get a lot of decimals, right? 49 cents, 57 cents. Include that in, include the decimals in, because they add up in the grand scheme of things over a course of a year or a month. They start to add up. So make sure you're putting the decimals in as well. That will help you out big time. Give back. Maybe I just spent $80 massage for my uncle. Travel, 115 and 78 cents flight to Cairns. Kids. I don't have any kids, but I'm just gonna pretend I had a kid, so maybe $87. Aaron's soccer fees. Soccer yearly fees. Excellent. And other. Maybe I had to pay $15 to Jono. Sorry, my computer's a little slow. But other, just anything that's not covered in here. So, like I said, maybe I had to pay my friend back $15. So I'd put other in that category. 15 Jono. Cool. Or I'd be a little more descriptive here. Paid to Jono. Excellent. So now we have our weekly expenses covered in the different categories. Now you want to add up that total. So you're going to go 135.67 with your calculator, 580.57. Yes, it's a little bit of a process, but it's so worth it. And you get your weekly total. So maybe it's $387.90. Cool. That's your weekly total. Once again, it's going to be tracking that. Now we're going to look at weekly earnings minus your weekly expenses. So let's talk earnings. Let's go over the earnings tab. Similar setup, essentially total earnings. The different forms of earnings I've created for you guys can name it how you wish, but basically business. If I have a business, any of my business earnings. If I'm an employee, I'm working for someone, I have a job, any of my earnings I earn on that. Property, maybe I've got a few properties and they're being rented out and I'm getting X amount of rental income per week. Investment, maybe you're investing in crypto or the stock or gold or lead. Residual, I don't even know who's investing in lead these days, but residual earnings. Maybe you have a network marketing thing, or somehow you're earning money, like a book. Maybe you published a book and you're getting X amount of money from book per day or week. I'd be putting that in there. And then anything other. So maybe you're a street performer like me and you got $50 street performing tonight. So let's start. So I'd literally go back and I'd be tracking my earnings for that week of the 12th to the 19th. So let's see here, $300, $166, and I'd be categorizing that. So let's just say business, out of the business I made 657. Let's say I didn't make anything as an employee. Property, I don't know, let's say I had a one apartment flat that someone was renting out. 150 this week from that, and I could just put 0. You don't even have to put 0. You can just leave it blank. Cool. And I'm going to track that total. So 50, 200, $857 for that week. Now, what we do, now you have your total earnings for that week. You go back to expenses, and this is where you could fill out $857, right? That was the total earnings for this week, minus $387.90 equals, this is where you pull out your calculator, unless you're a math wizard, which I'm not. So 857 minus 387.90 equals, this is the key part here, guys, 412.67. Now, that's how much I made this week, minus my expenses. And so I'm going to reward myself, and I'm going to show that that was a positive number. It's going to show in green. So I like to color each week that I made more than I earned, that I earned more than I spent. I color that in green, and I recommend you guys doing the same. So let's say it was the week of the 20th to the 26th, and it was $600.87 that I earned. But I spent $1,300. Then when I put an equals there, let me just do the math real quick. So 600.87 minus 1,300, I'm going to get minus 699.13. And so I like to put, anytime I spent more than I earned, I put that in red. And so that just gives me an indication as I'm looking through color coordinated what weeks I'm earning more and what weeks I'm spending more than I'm earning. And so you can start to see out of the 53 weeks or 52 weeks that you have here, how many weeks you earned more and how many weeks you spent more. Cool. Pretty self-explanatory, and I hope this is all making sense. Please, as a warning sign, do not delete. So do not come in here and touch any of this. Otherwise, if you press delete in here, you're going to delete the formula that I created to add up those totals. If you want to delete stuff, you just start deleting stuff here and it'll bring 0. So don't touch anything in yellow and white. Just know that those are grand totals that are continuously adding up over time. Excellent. So that's your expenses, that's your earnings. Pretty self-explanatory. Financial buckets. Now, if you've read The Barefoot Investor, this was inspired by him. Your financial buckets are kind of like your different bank accounts. So, for example, I have my template here for financial buckets, which is Host Plus, Elevate, Educate, Everyday Spending, Give Back, and I have the percentage. Now, every dollar I earn, all my income, it goes through this process and into these different buckets. So, out of every dollar I earn, 45% of that is going to my everyday spending, which is money put towards fuel, rent, food, etc. 35% of every dollar I earn is going towards Elevate and Educate. And Elevate for me means like a trip somewhere to see my best friend in Europe, or educating myself on a course or a certification or a retreat. So 35% of every dollar I earn goes into that bucket. 10% goes into Host Plus, my long-term savings, and another 10% goes into giving back to a wildlife organization that aligns with my values, and so forth. So this is, once again, fluid. You guys can put your own buckets here. Maybe you have 5 buckets. That's why I've included another tab here. So customize your buckets to how you wish it to be. And we're just going to fill out the 12th or the 19th to follow along with the example. So that week I made $857. Oops, sorry, $857 or 857 cents. Apologies on that one. So we're going to check what's 45% of that times 45%. That is 325. Then we're going to check, cool, 857 cents times 35%, 280.19, and 357, or sorry, 857 times 10%. Should be 80 and something. Yeah, so about pretty much just $80. So as you go along and you're tracking each week's earnings, you're seeing how much in total is going to those different buckets. So I'm seeing how much I'm putting into my long-term savings. I'm seeing how much I'm giving back. Maybe by the end of October, I've given back $5,000. That's pretty freaking awesome and feels good to see and track that. So there you have it, guys. That's essentially it. Your different buckets, your weekly earnings and monthly earnings. You can see each month. Like if you notice a month where you're like, whoa, I earned a lot that month and maybe not much in July, or I spent a crap ton in travel this month. How come? Oh, that's right, I was buying tickets there. Or why was my bill so much higher in the month of August compared to January or May? You get to see and utilize the totals that you have here. So use this to your greatest capacity. And yeah, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, comment in the video below, like put it in the comments, or add me on Facebook, Jackson James Cubian, or just email me. There'll be an email as well that you guys have access to. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and go out there and rock out your financial future. Big love.